Well, hello all. Alright, well, I tried to do this video outside. It was just way too busy. Too many male, female with baby and dog. And there were hundreds and hundreds of those pairs all over the place. Every sidewalk, every path, they were all packed in. So I turned around, came back. So I just don't need the crowdedness. So what I'm going to do is just sort of ad-lib. But let's first talk about mega droughts around the world. And they're already starting, and what the consequences of them are going to be. It will lead to an increase in water insecurity. That's the first thing. So there'll be more wars, more killing over water resources. It will reduce snow covering. It will cause more mega fires in the forests and the lowland, including urban areas. Let's go look at the drought that's in the U.S. As you can see, it's pretty well up to date, and it doesn't look good, does it? Especially for the western states. If El Nino comes in instead of La Nina, like we have now, if El Nino comes in, all hell is bound to break loose. Unfortunately, because of the El Nino and La Ninas are getting so big, they're predicting that some of these might last over 1,000 years, because that's what we've seen in the past. Back when South America was really at its fullest, a lot of the jungle got cut down, and they saw 1,000-year La Nina and 1,000-year El Nino. The El Nino brought floods that lasted 1,000 years, and the La Nina brought desert, which we're still in to this very day. The conditions down there, some of them are in very desert conditions. Now, the question is, how big will these get, and how badly they will influence our weather? Let's go ahead and look at the El Nino right now that's happening. As you can see, it's rather large. It's getting harder and harder to find charts, just like it's harder and harder to find news. Everybody has a paywall up. A lot of the U.S. Charts and things are now gone, taken off, because Trump doesn't believe in science, so he's getting rid of it all. So, one other thing I wanted to talk about was an incident that happened yesterday, where a Biden bus was going down the freeway of I-35 in Texas, and a train of Trump supporters surrounded the bus and slowed it down. And then two Trump supporters, from what I saw in the video, started banging into each other's cars right behind the bus. Now, Biden has now canceled some rallies in Texas because of safety concerns. Now, if that had happened in reverse, that Biden supporters slowed down a Trump bus, what do you think would happen? I bet you there'd be twice as many Trump rallies in that area. People would bring out their guns. What did the Democrats do? We'll go away for safety. Safety. Lord, these Democrats. They make me madder than the Republicans. Republicans just are born plain evil and mean and couldn't care less about anybody but themselves. Democrats, they run around with their tail between their legs. I sure wish we had the progressives we had in the 60s and 70s. So a lot of supporters of both Democrats and some Republicans are saying that Trump is turning out to be worse than Hitler. There's always this comparison to Hitler. A lot of progressives are saying, no, that's offensive. But let's hear what the arguments are that say that he's worse than Hitler. Hitler murdered about 9 million people. Well, Trump so far is murdering thousands and thousands of people here in the U.S. because he didn't take control of the pandemic, the COVID-19, and he still doesn't to this day. He still downplays mask wearing, and, well, let's see what he's done with his rallies that he's had. COVID cases directly related to his rallies, 30,000. By the way, this is a Stanford University study. So apparently over 700 of his followers died because they got COVID at his rallies. Well, is this a bad thing? Of course it is. And the people that stand behind this this horrible orange person, the one who kills 700 people and thinks nothing of it. Could you imagine if you or I had a rally that killed that many people? Do you think we'd be out walking around? And because he is above the law, according to some Republicans, so the bent-over Democrats go along with it, even though it's not written anywhere. But there's also Trump destroying the environment. If he gets his way with the environment, we're dead, we're gone, we were done for, just because of the cutting down of the Tongass itself and all the new fossil fuel pumping he's doing, the ruining of our parks and our state parks and our federal lands are all being axed and put to the pump, and road building and all that. That is not environmental. That is quickly destroying what's left of our little environment that we have in the U.S. Water regulations, oil regulations, air regulations, all axed. But the worst is his getting out of conferences and agreements with other countries. All kinds of them. Trade agreements, nuclear arms treaties. We're just throwing them away. All the work that went into making all this happen, make our world a little more stable, is now being thrown away by just one person. And what's the opposition party doing? Yeah, complete bent-over hopelessness. That's why I just can't stand the Democrats, I can't stand the Republicans. Just worthless. All right, and one last thing. For Environmental Coffee House, we have some back and forth on my last video, linked down below. She said that she lived in Marin County, which is north of where I live now, just north of San Francisco. Depending on traffic, you can get there as little as 20 minutes. She said that her family, one of them went to my high school, Santa Fe High. I just lived a few blocks away from Santa Fe High, towards the east. So I was a bicyclist that would ride their bike to Santa Fe High. And I went through that in the 60s and 70s. Why, what a place that was. I mean, it was so progressive and forward-thinking back then. Santa Fe, Sausalito, Mill Valley, San Francisco. That was where and Berkeley. That's where all the left hung out and stayed. And it was such a fantastic place. And then for some reason, after the Vietnam War was canceled, people just disappeared. The left went and disappeared, and the progressives disappeared, and all the hippies and the beatniks and all that disappeared, and the rock music sort of took a different turn. It was good in the 80s, but now I don't know. Anyway, that's me just reminiscing about the past. Here in the Bay Area, the North Bay, San Rafael, and Mill Valley, and Sausalito. Didn't do much hanging out in Tiburon. Darling, it was a bit too stuffy for me, darling. Until next time, I appreciate your ups, downs, comments especially, and the new subscribers. And until next time. Oh, I almost forgot the unsubscribers.